Listen, I almost didn't make this video because honestly, I've been feeling the same frustration many of you have about Pi Network, but something happened this week that completely changed my perspective, and I couldn't stay quiet about it. While everyone's giving up and Pi searches are hitting rock bottom, the core team just dropped their biggest update in years, and get this, the Pi token actually went up 5% while everything else crashed. You know what? I'm not here to sell you false hope, but what I discovered digging into this update has me genuinely excited for the first time in months, and I think you need to hear this before you completely write off your Pi journey. Before we dive deep into this, I need you to do me a favor. Check out my Telegram and Facebook pages linked in the description below. You know what? That's where I share the real, unfiltered updates and have honest conversations with fellow Pi pioneers who are navigating this journey together. Trust me, the community there keeps me sane when the FUD gets overwhelming, and I think you'll find it valuable too. So, here's what got my attention. Pi Network just released official Linux support for their Node software. Now I know what you're thinking. Great, another technical update that doesn't help my wallet. But hear me out on this one. You know what? I've been in tech long enough to recognize when something is actually significant, and this is one of those moments. For years, serious developers who wanted to build on Pi had to create hacky workarounds because there was no official Linux support. Linux isn't just another operating system. It's what runs the internet, enterprise systems, and most serious blockchain infrastructure. In my opinion, the fact that Pi Network finally prioritized this tells me they're shifting from experimental phase to serious business mode. You know what this means for us? Real developers with real skills can now easily participate in the Pi ecosystem without jumping through hoops. I honestly think this single move could attract the kind of talent that Pi has been missing. Now this next part really caught my eye. They're jumping from protocol version 19 straight to 23, and it's heavily based on Stellar's technology. You know what? I've been following Stellar for years, and it's one of the few blockchains that actually processes real transactions for real companies every single day. When I see Pi adopting Stellar's proven infrastructure, I get genuinely optimistic because they're not trying to reinvent the wheel anymore. Here's my honest take. This upgrade could solve many of the scalability issues that have plagued Pi Network. The staged rollout starting with Testnet 1 this week shows they've learned from past mistakes and aren't rushing things. You know what I appreciate most? They're being transparent about potential short outages and disruptions. That's the kind of professional communication I want to see from a team managing billions of tokens. Let's talk money because that's what we're all thinking about. While Bitcoin and most altcoins were bleeding this week, Pi actually gained 5% and is sitting around 37 cents. You know what? This might not sound like much, but it's actually huge when you consider the broader market context. In my experience, when a token moves against the general market trend, it usually means something fundamental is changing. I'll be completely honest with you. Pi did hit that brutal all-time low of 33 cents on August 26th, and I felt that pain just like you did. But the 10% recovery since then, combined with these infrastructure updates, has me thinking we might be at a turning point. You know what concerns me though? The token unlocks coming September 2nd and 6th could create some selling pressure. But here's my take. If Pi can hold strong through those unlocks, we might be looking at a much cleaner chart moving forward. Alright, let me give you my brutally honest opinion about what this all means. For months, I've been watching Pi Network closely, and honestly, I was worried it was sliding into the category of abandoned projects. The silence, the delays, and the lack of big headlines made it feel like momentum was fading. It's the kind of pattern we've all seen before in crypto, projects that start strong but quietly die off when the hype dries up. I'll admit, I thought Pi was heading down that same path. You know what changed my mind? It wasn't some flashy partnership announcement or a marketing stunt to grab attention. Instead, what stood out were the technical updates that most people don't even talk about. Things like infrastructure improvements, back-end stability, and systems designed for actual scalability. These are the kinds of boring developments that real companies need if they're going to build long-term. To me, that shift shows Pi Network is still alive and putting in the hard work that actually matters. The Linux support tells me they're finally listening to developers who want to build serious applications. In my opinion, this is way more valuable than any partnership announcement or celebrity endorsement. You know what I've learned from years in crypto? The projects that survive and thrive in the crypto space are usually the ones that quietly focus on building solid technology while everyone else is distracted by hype and quick gains, and Pi might actually be taking that path for once. Instead of flashy announcements or gimmicks, The team seems to be laying down the kind of foundation that can support long-term growth and real adoption. That said, I won't sugarcoat the experience. It's been frustrating as hell holding Pi through the delays, the uncertainty, and the lack of visible progress. But sometimes those quiet building phases are exactly what separates lasting projects from the ones that fade away. The waiting, the lack of updates, and the constant speculation can really wear you down. And I know many people in the community feel the same way. It often seems like nothing is moving forward, leaving holders stuck in a cycle of uncertainty that makes it hard to stay motivated. Every time there's a long silence from the team, doubts naturally grow, and it's only human to start questioning whether all the time, energy, and faith invested in Pi will ever translate into real value or rewards. This kind of uncertainty weighs heavily because no one wants to feel like they've been holding on for nothing, and it's exactly why so many people are on the edge of giving up. That kind of uncertainty is tough, and it's fair to admit it. You know what though? Every successful blockchain project goes through this exact phase where retail investors lose interest while the real work happens quietly in the background. I remember when Ethereum was trading under $10 and people dismissed it as a ghost chain. Fast forward a few years and it became the backbone of DeFi and NFTs. The point is, early frustration doesn't mean failure, it can just mean we're still in the building stage. Here's what I think is happening with Pi Network right now. The team is finally maturing from the mobile mining gimmick phase into building actual enterprise-grade infrastructure. You know what this means for us early adopters? We're potentially positioned at the bottom of a major transition. The reduced search interest and community negativity might actually be creating the perfect environment for smart money to accumulate while retail investors capitulate. My final thoughts on this situation? Pi Network just gave us the first legitimate reasons to be optimistic in a very long time. The Linux support and protocol upgrades aren't sexy, but they're exactly what this project needed to attract serious developers and real use cases. You know what I'm doing? I'm staying alert and watching how these technical improvements translate into actual ecosystem growth over the next few months. If this breakdown helped you see Pi Network from a different angle and gave you some hope during these tough times, do me a favor and hit that like button. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you holding strong through this uncertainty, or are you ready to give up? You know what would really help me keep bringing you this kind of analysis? Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss these critical updates when they happen. Remember, in crypto, the biggest opportunities often come when everyone else has already given up. Until next time, keep your head up, Pi Pioneers.